Welcome to Ballarat Women in the Great War. I'm Amethyst May of Mount Clear College, and I'm at the start of the Ballarat Avenue of Honour to explore how a special group of women came together, standing strong in the face of adversity, resolved to heal the effects of conflict on those left behind. Join me as we travel back to the beginning of World War I, known as the Great War. Matilda Tilly Clennell worked for Lucas & Co., manufacturer of women's clothing. She became Australia's first female travelling salesperson, holding Ballarat's first female driver's licence. As director to 500 staff, she commanded great respect. Tilly knew every girl by name. Her peers remarked she was able to handle 9 buyers at once and keep them all happy, being both impatient and impetuous, with boundless energy and a terrifying spirit. In 1914, Germany invaded Belgium, and war was declared in Australia, August 4th. Spanning the war, a total of 3,801 men and women departed from Ballarat for the Great War, including 35 sailors and 56 nurses, many of whom never returned again. Australians across every state raised money however they could, but it was women who led the charge. In Ballarat, the Lucas girls, led by Tilly, now Thompson, made dolls out of the scraps of fabric from the factory floor. Working at night after a full day of factory work, sacrificing their salaries to pay for thread and ribbon. Tilly often led Lucas girls down to the local train station to cheer home returning soldiers during working hours. Lucas girls were featured in many of the patriotic parades held in Ballarat to fundraise for the war. With the return of 450 wounded soldiers by December 1916 and a mounting number of grieving families with no son to bury, Tilly's endeavours turned to supporting Ballarat. She was resolved to provide resolution to the unending grief of the mothers, sisters, and wives surrounding her. Tilly, along with the Lucas girls, proposed an avenue of honour, a place for those with no grave to visit, a burial for those with no funeral to attend, a memorial for those wounded in spirit and in body, a celebration of the service of those who returned, a way to keep the memories of all who served green and ever fresh, never forgotten. In December 1916, Tilly rallied the Lucas girls, Ballarat City Council, and others to establish a public fund to plant an avenue of honour. To the blaring of the bugle on Monday, 4th of June 1917, at 3 p.m, as rain poured, the Lucas girls, 100 Boy Scouts and dignitaries, stepped up to start planting a tree for every man and woman who went to war. Despite the weather, thousands of people attended by tram, car, and on foot. The first planting of trees, elms and ash, were recognized the first 505 men planted in enlistment order. The avenue starts with Lieutenant Colonel William Bolton, planted by Premier Peacock. The family and friends of soldiers, sailors, and nurses were personally invited by handwritten letters from each of the Lucas girls. Local descendants today remember Lucas girls, Lila and Minnie Fox, who planted 11 trees, including number 1830 for their brother Joseph Fox, a sapper who returned home safely. The avenue remains important to Ballarat citizens. A second planting of 703 trees was added to the avenue on Saturday 18th of August 1917, once again in the pouring rain. For the first time, trees were planted for the nurses who had enlisted since the start of the war. Further plantings in 1917 to 1919 finalised the avenue with oak trees specially to honour our Navy boys. The Lucas girls planted majority of the trees, selling tickets, commemorative pamphlets, and souvenirs to the public as further fundraising. They added wreaths at Christmas and flags at other times. Unfortunately, this was only for those who had enlisted in Ballarat. Others had signed up in Melbourne. Contrary to common belief, the avenue was not the first in Australia, but it is the longest of its kind, spanning 22 kilometres, from the Arch to Tilly's Memorial Tree. In total, Lucas & Co. raised and donated £2,200 for the avenue. This shows the absolute dedication that the Lucas girls gave, not only to their work, but to their community and those fighting for them. Loyalty was, after all, a part of their way of life at Lucas. In August 1918, Lucas & Co. advertised for the design of a memorial monument for the avenue entrance. The announcement of the winning design by the Ballarat School of Mines coincided with the declaration of Amethyst. After 4 years of war, at 11 a.m. on the 11th of November 1918, peace was declared. In Ballarat, cheering crowds filled the streets. 400 Lucas girls marched down Sturt Street, singing patriotic songs. Lucas & Co. raised a staggering £10,600 for the construction of the Arch, Avenue and ongoing maintenance, about $5 million today. This includes selling miniature bricks and profits from the first recorded Victorian female Aussie rules footy match. Built of 70,000 local bricks, the structure was erected in 4 months, with the Lucas girls loading bricks to ensure its deadline. The foundation stone was laid on 7th of February 1920 by Sir Birdwood with a time capsule that contained the names of the girls. To considerable fanfare, the arch was opened on the 2nd of June 1920 by Edward, Prince of Wales. Tilly Thompson presented him with an embroidered suit of yellow silk pajamas, each Lucas girl having contributed at least an individual stitch to the set. It is said that when Tilly handed the gift over, she told the prince, 500 girls have had their hands all over these. The symbol of the rising sun, used to identify Anzac troops, adorns the top of the 17-metre-tall arch. Rosemary hedges now encircle the arch as a symbol of remembrance. Plaques were attached, showing the major battles in the Great War, and 2 decades later, more were added to honour services of the next generation in World War II. An honour roll of all the servicemen and their trees is contained beside the monument, and an area set aside to honour the Garden of the Grieving Mother. A series of interpretive signs along the avenue tell the stories of a few of the individuals. The avenue was to commemorate the lives lost and affected by the war, and to also serve as a reminder to never let this happen again. The war to end all wars. But did we heed it? The avenue provided a soulful resolution to the losses inflicted by the Great War conflict. However, in our modern world, we wonder if conflicts are ever fully resolved.